orderly fashion.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, we're actually starting a little late. So we're going to just make a couple of statements before we go on the record. So Mr. McLean, please bear with us just a little bit on the late start, but Judge, unless there's any other questions.
And we're going to need one of the interpreters on the line who will interpret the statements that I'm going to say before we go on the record.
Are there any other questions before we begin?
No, Your Honor. If you can just allow 1 second, I have to go to get my headset for the cell phone.
Of course.
Sure.
Thank you.
Somebody said something just now. I'm not sure if everybody heard the question. You will need an interpreter to interpret the statement. Do you want to decide who?
So once we begin, we have a list of participants who have already registered to speak, and we'll open it up after we get through that list. So either you or your colleague would be free at that point to provide the statement for the record.
I don't know who's going to do it to begin with.
I can start. I can do it. I just need to know if this is going to be a statement, a long statement. Can you provide me with it on an email? Remember that if you're reading, you're speaking faster. Double the time or the speed that you do when you are speaking just freely. So if you're going to be reading a long statement, you will have to allow us time to take notes.
Yeah, we will go over that in just a moment.
I'll slow it down so that you'll have the opportunity. Okay? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a part of a statement, then you'll translate it. I'll read some more, then you'll translate it, and that's how we'll go.
Okay. That's perfectly fine. I just want to make sure that we do it the right way for everybody here. So in the beginning, I will interpret what you do. The beginning, the initial statement, and then we can go on with the hearing.
Okay, great.
I'm ready, by the way. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, great.
Okay, so what we'll do is, can we put up slide 4? And before we go on the record, what I'm going to do is briefly explain how the process is going to work to accommodate any person who wants to provide a comment or listen to the hearing in Spanish. Could you put on, I'm sorry, slide 2? And this needs to be translated, so I'm going to read that again. Before we go on the record, I will explain briefly how the process will work to accommodate any person who wants to provide a comment or listen to the hearing in Spanish. Mr. Vega?
Muy buenas tardes a todos. Antes de comenzar el récord, vamos a explicar el proceso para acomodar cualquier persona que necesite dar una declaración en español. Go ahead.
We have an interpreter with us, and anyone who wishes to provide comments in Spanish or listen to the hearing in Spanish should call a separate number, which I will provide in a moment.
Tenemos servicio de interpretación. Todas las personas que necesiten proveer un comentario en español o escuchar la audiencia en español necesitarán llamar a un número diferente. Vamos a proveer de ese número.
The number that you should call is 518-549-0500, and you should dial access code 958-406-32.
El número al cual debe llamar para escuchar la audiencia en español y proveer su declaración es el 518-549-0500. Voy a repetir, 518-549-0500 y debe de ingresar el código de acceso 958-406-32. De nuevo, el código de acceso 958-406-32. Go ahead.
Okay, on that line, the interpreter will interpret English statements into Spanish and will also be available to interpret any statements offered into Spanish into English for the record.
En esta línea, todas las personas que estén presentes o escuchando podrán escuchar todas las declaraciones en español y podrán también proveer su declaración para ser traducida al inglés.
If you are using that line, we ask you to please mute your phone when you enter the meeting and mute any other device on which you may be listening to the hearing.
En esta línea, si usted está utilizando este servicio de teléfono, por favor le pedimos que al ingresar a la llamada silencie su teléfono o póngalo en mute, como se dice en inglés, en silencio. Y también puede, por favor, silenciar cualquier otro artículo o aparato que esté utilizando para conectarse.
When we call out your name, you would unmute your phone line and let the interpreter know you are there and then provide your statement.
Escuche cuando se le llame por su nombre, active su micrófono y déjele saber al intérprete que usted va a estar proveyendo una declaración.
The interpreter will interpret your statement into English so that the court reporter can include it in the record for consideration by the commission.
El intérprete entonces va a estar traduciendo su declaración para que el anotador de la corte pueda incluir su declaración en la audiencia.
At this point, we're going to ask those who wish to listen to the hearing in Spanish or to provide comments in Spanish to call 518-549-0500 and dial access code 958-406-32.
Vamos pues a todas las personas que desean escuchar y participar de esta audiencia en español y llamen en este momento. El número de nuevo es 518-549-0500. Una vez más, todo aquel que desee participar y escuchar en español, llame al número 518-549-0500 e ingrese el código de acceso 958-40632. De nuevo, 958-40632. Go ahead.
Okay, we will now take a minute break to allow people time to make that call and get on that line. And then I'm going to go on the record. The Spanish interpreters will then be available on the line, and we'll come back at some point just to make sure that we have people that may have joined later on to get on the line as well.
Muy bien, entonces vamos a permitir un minuto para que todas aquellas personas que deseen llamar lo hagan y se logren conectar. Y luego vamos a iniciar a la audiencia para estar dentro del récord. Vamos a tener disponibles a nuestros intérpretes en español. Más adelante podemos volver a verificar si hay más personas que se acaban de agregar a la llamada.
Okay, Mr. McLean, are you ready to go on the record?
Yes, Your Honor, we are on the record.
Okay, I call cases 23-E-0418 and 23-G-0419, proceedings on motions of the Commission as to the rates, charges, rules, and regulations of Central Hudson Gas and Electric Corporation for electric and gas service. Good evening. We are here today for a public statement hearing that was noticed on August 18th, 2023. On July 31st, 2023, Central Hudson Gas and Electric Corporation, which I will refer to as Central Hudson, filed amendments to its electric and gas tariff schedules, proposing to increase its annual electric and gas delivery revenues effective July 1st, 2024. Central Hudson proposes to increase its electric delivery revenues by approximately $139.5 million, which would be a 31.9% increase in base delivery revenues, or a 16.4% increase in total revenues. It also proposes to increase its natural gas delivery revenues by approximately $41.5 million, which would be a 29.2% increase in base delivery revenues, or a 19% increase in total revenues. The actual bill impacts of these proposed changes on any particular customer class will vary based upon revenue allocation and rate design. Under New York state law, the Public Service Commission must consider a utility's proposal, and it may adopt or reject the proposal in whole or in part, or it may modify it. We are holding this hearing so you can provide your comments on these proposals for the Commission's consideration. My name is James Costello, and I am an administrative law judge for the Department of Public Service. With me this evening is Administrative Law Judge Ashley Moreno, who is also from the Department of Public Service. And together we are responsible for presiding over the hearings in these cases and the development of a complete record in these proceedings. The Public Service Commission will decide what Central Hudson's terms and conditions of service will be. The Public Service Commission has 7 members. The chairperson, Rory Christian, and 6 commissioners: Diane Berman, James Alessi, Tracy Edwards, John Howard, David Valesky, and John Majori. Just bear with me one second. Bear with me one second. I'm just going to go off. I'm going to go on mute for 1 second. As stated, the purpose of our hearing is to provide you with an opportunity to tell the Commission your thoughts on Central Hudson's rate proposal. The statements you make today will become part of the case record. We have a court reporter joining us who will prepare a transcript of the hearing, which will be included in the official record of this proceeding so that your comments can be considered by the members of the Commission. The statements you make today will become part of the case record. When it is ready, the transcript will be available for view on the Department of Public Service's website. This hearing is not an evidentiary hearing in which testimony would be given, nor is it a question and answer session. It is a forum to hear comments from you. Please go to slide 5. This is not the only opportunity for you to make a comment. If you did not register to speak at today's hearing, but you would like your views included in the record, there are a variety of other ways to comment that were listed in the public notice for today's event. You can do so by submitting comments on the department's website, by email, regular mail, or by telephone. And regardless of how the comments are submitted, they will be given equal consideration. Comments may be submitted and will be considered throughout the pendency of this proceeding. If you are participating electronically on WebEx, you will see those various ways to comment listed on the slide before you. If you have registered to make a statement, we ask that you please summarize any lengthy written statements orally and submit the full written statement by email or mail. Because of the number of people that have registered to speak, we ask that you stay within a 3-minute time limit for your oral comments today. There are people who registered and are participating electronically, and there are people who registered and are participating by telephone. In either case, you should have only one audio input from one device. Otherwise, you may have problems with feedback. I will call the persons that have registered one by one to speak. If someone is not available when I call them, I will continue with the next person and will come back to those people who are not available at the end. We will start by calling on the members of the public who have registered to speak, and then we'll move to individuals who have registered to speak that are parties to these proceedings. As parties, you have greater privileges and opportunities to build the record in this proceeding. Therefore, we ask that you summarize any lengthy comments and submit them in writing. What I'm going to do now is just list the names of all the speakers that we have in order, and in the order that we intend to call them, so that you know where you stand in the process. So it looks like we have 10 registered speakers. The first will be Emily Shaw, then Samuel Gelber, Robin Taus, Elise Toy, Teresa Gugutris, Steve Shunk, Robin Gibbons-Jabam, Troy Ellen Dixon, Sarah Hannah Shrestha, and Lori Wheelock. For people who are participating by telephone and making their comments in English, when I call out your name, I will ask you to hit *3 on your phone so that we can recognize you and unmute your line. It may take us a little while to locate you and unmute your line, so please make sure to wait until you hear a beep or are notified that your line has been unmuted before you make your comment. If you have muted your own telephone line, you will also have to unmute your line on your end. For people that are participating electronically, after I call your name, we will identify you and unmute your line. You should hear a tone and see that the microphone icon on your screen is no longer red. Please be reminded that if you put your own telephone line on mute, you will also have to unmute your line before you begin to speak. For people providing comments in Spanish through the interpreter, when we call out your name, please unmute your line and tell the interpreter that you are there to provide your comment. You can then go ahead and provide your comment. The interpreter will interpret your statement into English so that the court reporter can include it in the record for consideration by the commission. We ask all of you to please speak slowly and clearly so that the court reporter and interpreters can accurately capture your statement for the record and accurately translate your or interpret your comments. When you are starting with your comment, please state your name, and if you are speaking on behalf of an organization, the name of the organization. Once we confirm that we can hear you, you can proceed to make your comments. Before we begin with the comments, I just want to once again ask one of our interpreters to join the WebEx so that we can once again give instructions to people that might be participating on the WebEx and would like to go onto the Spanish interpretation line. And what I would ask also is, can you please put up slide 6? Thank you. And do we have one of the interpreters on the WebEx? Mr. Vega or Ms. Lucy?
This is Miss Lucy. I can go ahead.
Okay, what I'll do is I'm just reading a brief statement and then you can please interpret it into English, Spanish. Before we begin with the comments, okay.
One moment. One moment. Isaiah, Proceed on this as we did in the beginning, so you don't confuse.
Okay. All right. For
moment.
people
Yeah.
who, ready? For people who want to listen or provide comments in Spanish, please call 518-549-0500 and dial access code 958-406-32. Okay.
Isaiah, proceed.
Yeah, I can proceed.
Okay.
Buenas tardes a todos. Para todas las personas que nos acompañan que desean participar de este procedimiento en español, por favor, continúen con hacer una llamada al número 518-549-0500. Go ahead.
And you would dial the access code 958-406-32.
Y luego ingrese el código número 958-406-32.
Okay, thank you. So now I'm going to just continue in English. It does not have to be translated or interpreted into Spanish. You can go back to the Spanish line. Thank you. What we're going to do now is turn to our first speaker. Our first speaker is Emily Shaw. And I do not see that you are on electronically, so if you are participating by telephone and making a statement in English, you would hit *3 so that we can unmute your line. If you are participating on the Spanish interpretation line, you would let the interpreters know that you are available to give a statement, and they will use their raise hand function to let us know. Okay, not seeing anyone. I'm going to go on to the second speaker, who is Samuel Gelber. Okay, again, I do not see that Mr. Gelber is participating electronically. So if you are participating by telephone and would like to give a statement in English, please press *3. And if you are on the Spanish interpretation line, please notify the interpreters. Okay, not seeing anybody. I'm going to move on to Robin Taus. And again, if you're participating by telephone and want to provide a statement in English, it's *3. And if you are participating on the Spanish interpretation line, you would notify the interpreters. Not seeing anyone. I'm moving on to Elise Toy. Elise Toy. And I see you are participating electronically, so just give us a moment to unmute your line. Okay, it looks like your line has been unmuted.
Yes, you can hear me?
We can hear you, thank you. You can provide your comment.
My name is Elise Toy, and I would like to make this statement. Central Hudson must not be allowed to increase rates by any amount. If Central Hudson needs more money to provide service to ratepayers, they need to take that money from Fortis corporate profits and upper management compensation. The New York State Public Service Commission has a duty to the public, not to profitable corporations. It is not in the public interest to continually rubber stamp the rate increase requests from a profitable corporation. We are reaching a societal reckoning of profit over people. This is exactly the point for our Public Service Commission to do the right thing and deny Central Hudson's request. Additionally, Central Hudson should be required by the Commission to fully staff its meter reading department and accurately read the meters of every single ratepayer every month. Central Hudson is exploiting its ratepayers by failing to bill accurately every month. In using an estimated billing system, they continually charge ratepayers to pay for their power at a higher rate as the rates continually increase month by month. And when they bill in arrears, each month, everyone is paying more and more and more. This is completely unethical. I request that our Public Service Commission stand up for its people. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go on to our next speaker, who is Teresa Gugutris, and I see that you are participating electronically. It looks like your line has been unmuted.
Much for this opportunity. Yes, thank you very much for this opportunity. I would like to say that I do believe that everyone should have their meter read every month. If it's going to be read every other month and estimated every other month, then it should be billed as such. So perhaps Central Hudson could, if they decide to go that route, split the areas to be billed in half and alternate the months odd or even on billing from a customer. So there's continual monthly income for Central Hudson. Just to give you an example, at the end of last year, my meter reading was at 342. The estimate was 123. The next one read at 388, estimated at 110. And then at the beginning of this year, we received a whopping $822 bill. So I don't understand why it's being read, being estimated at such a low amount based upon the actual readings and usage. I don't know if they have a formula or this information or the estimate comes out of the sky. And it's very hard to budget your money because last year with the drought, my money tree was not fully in bloom. So I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my comments. And again, I believe they should be reading the meters every month and billing as such, or if they alternate them, again, alternate the billing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Steve Shunk, and Mr. Shunk is participating. Okay. Let's see, we're just waiting for you to be unmuted.
One second. I'm just gonna unmute right now.
Mr. Shunk, just bear with us. We'll be unmuting you shortly. There we go. It looks like your line has been unmuted.
My name is Steve Shunk. I'm a resident of Highland, New York, and I come here today taking my time to oppose the rate increase that has been proposed by Central Hudson. I agree that the PSC needs to put people first ahead of profits. I have filed over 5 or 6 complaints to the PSC directly regarding Central Hudson's lack of service. My estimates, like many, have been wildly overstated, which leads me to believe that whatever formula is in their automated system simply isn't working. This is a problem, in my opinion, that should be remedied by Central Hudson. Paying for this remedy should, I also agree, should be done at the shareholders and the profit of Fortis and not the ratepayers. Making the ratepayers bail out Central Hudson for their mismanagement is ethically wrong, ethically and morally, in my opinion. Central Hudson has one and only one job to do, and that is to deliver electricity and gas safely and efficiently. It doesn't seem that they are capable of doing that. And again, making the ratepayers always absorb the mistakes and mismanagement of this company seems to to me to be wrong. Again, I think I will just say, and again, I oppose any rate increase for Central Hudson until they fix their billing system and make their ratepayers pay for that debacle. All the other problems that we're hearing about Central Hudson and PSC complaint overload, that is because of the billing system Central Hudson chose to implement. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Robin Gibbs Jabam. I apologize if I'm not saying that correctly. It's Robin Gibbs Jabam. And if you are calling in and making a statement by English, please hit *3 so I can identify you. If you're using the Spanish interpretation line, please notify the interpreters, unmute your line and notify the interpreters so they can let us know that you will be providing a statement. Okay, I'm not seeing anybody, so we will move on to the next speaker, who is Troy Ellen Dixon, who I believe is participating electronically, so we will unmute your line. It looks like your line has been unmuted.
Thank you. I am Troy Ellen Dixon. My pronouns are she, her, aya. In 2020, Central Hudson proposed raising the average monthly residential bill by $7 and some change for electricity and $9 and some change for gas. Thanks in large part to the tireless efforts of various individuals and organizations who work to reduce the increases, PSC instead approved a 3-year plan in which residential customers paid 33 cents less per month for electricity during the first year, with increases in the final 2 years. Gas rates total $5.31, an increase over the 3-year agreement, which ends on June 30th, 2024. This time around, Central Hudson is seeking approval for delivery rates that would increase the average residential electric bill by 16% and gas bills by 19%. The percentage they don't talk about is how much higher these proposed increases are than their last proposed increases, which are 287% higher for electric and 217% higher for gas. Further, they say the typical customer would be charged about $30 per month for each service, additional each month for service, an increase that, according to their PR machine, amounts to just $1 a day. This increase is proposed in the midst of investigations that continue, no clear answers on whether all the billing issues that plagued more than 8,000 customers have actually been resolved, and the fact that between February 2020 through June of this year, residential customers' arrears greater than 60 days grew by 1,044%, while non-residential arrears grew by 1,971%. If individuals and businesses have already been struggling to pay their Central Hudson bills for more than 3 years, exactly how are they expected to pay even just $1 a day more? Those customers who are more affluent will be able to pay higher energy bills. Many low-income customers will benefit from bill relief programs and HEAP, though not as much as they should. But there is a group for which neither is true, Alice households, who are already struggling to meet the average household survival budget, which is nearly $91,000 for a family of 4. Alice households are struggling as wages fail to keep pace with the rising cost of household essentials, including utilities. For these folks, that just $1 a day more may well be the difference between keeping the lights on or putting food on the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Sarahana Shrestha. I don't see that you are participating electronically, so if you have called in and are providing a statement in English, please hit *3. And if you are calling in on the Spanish interpretation line, please notify the interpreters that you're available to give your statement. Okay, I'm not seeing any indication of a speaker, so I'm going to move on to Lori Wheelock. And I see Lori Wheelock is participating electronically. So just give us a minute and we will unmute your line. Okay, it looks like your line has been unmuted. Ms. Wheelock, we can't hear you on our end. Wait, we want to unmute. It looks like it's been muted again. Can we please unmute the, there we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Wonderful. Good evening, Administrative Law Judges Moreno and Costello. My name is Lori Wheelock, and I'm the Executive Director and Counsel for the Public Utility Law Project. We go by PULP for short. My pronouns are she and her. PULP is a 40-year-old nonprofit with the mission of educating, advocating, and litigating on behalf of New York State's low-income utility customers. I want to start tonight by thanking the Department of Public Service for the opportunity to testify in relation to Central Hudson Gas and Electric's rate cases. In particular, thank you for providing the hearing notice in Spanish and providing interpretation support, which is a very important means of providing access for Spanish speakers throughout Central Hudson's service territory. At this time, PULP wants to renew our request for formal in-person hearings throughout the service territory, as they provide a valuable option for many of Central Hudson's customers. And if possible, we'd like to ask that those in-person hearing dates be prior to the filing of direct testimony on November 21st. PULP is an active party to both cases, the electric and gas sides, and we are planning to file expert testimony. Tonight, I'm just going to focus on 2 issues, but we have several others that will be expanded upon in our written testimony, and one of my colleagues will also be testifying at next week's hearings. To start, PULP is very concerned about the company's long history of billing problems. We're still receiving calls to our direct service hotline and emails from customers who are still struggling to understand how to read their bills, what's happening with their bills, still receiving numerous bills at a time, and trying to figure out what's going on between the estimation and actual billing reads. PULP does work closely with the company's customer service team to try to reach resolution. But the truth is that the billing issues have been happening now for over the last 2 years. And this is a significant concern that should not and cannot be ignored. There's still no formal resolution from the Commission. And one of the issues that's paramount to PULP is that the rate case costs must be prudent and be strictly reviewed. At the same time, we're concerned that that review will be difficult due to the longstanding billing issues, the investigation, the audit, the need for an independent monitor, and more. Next, I want to address affordability concerns with the rate filing itself. The company files monthly collection activity reports that show the financial health of its customers. And in July of 2023, over 65,000 households were behind on their bills by 60 days or more for over $100 million. It's important to flag that in the company's own policy panel, they said that they expect arrears to continue to grow prior to the start of the rate year, July 1st, 2024. Yet the company is asking for what the prior speaker explained is this $1 a day more for electric and $1 a day more on gas. That may not sound like a lot, but it provides tremendous financial pressure, and $1 a day is significant, especially for low-income households and ALICE households. That's at least $60 more a month for electric and gas combined customers. Once again, PULP appreciates the opportunity to speak at tonight's hearing, and we'll continue our work, and we look forward to submitting written testimony in this proceeding. Thank you.
Thank you. What I'm going to do now is just circle back with the people who I called earlier who were not available. I do not see any of them logged on electronically. So if I call your name and you are going to give a comment and you're participating by telephone and want to make your comment in English, you would hit *3. If you are on the Spanish interpretation line and want to make a comment, you would notify the interpreters by unmuting your line, and they will let us know that you're available to give a comment. So I will start with Emily Shaw. Okay, going on to Samuel Gelber. Not seeing any. Going on to Robin Taus. Moving on to Robin Gibbs Jabam. And finally, Sarahana Shrestha. Okay, I don't see any indication that any of those people who had registered are available to give a comment. So what I will do now is open it up for anyone who is participating that did not register but would like to make a comment. So if you are participating electronically, you would like to make a comment, you would use the raise hand function to indicate that. If you are participating by telephone and want to make your comment in English, you would use the *3 to indicate to us that you want to make a comment. And if you are participating on the Spanish interpretation line, you would let the interpreters know, and they in turn will let us know that you want to give a comment. Okay, I do not see anyone indicating that they would like to make a comment. So with that, yeah. Is there somebody? Oh, sure. Ms. Lucia, I just want to confirm with you that there is nobody on the Spanish interpretation line that has indicated they'd like to make a comment.
That's correct, Your Honor. Let me just verify one more time. Hola, señoras y señores. Si alguien quiere hacer un comentario en español, por favor, se puede remover el silencio. Vamos a dar un minutito más para ver si quiere hacer su comentario en frente a las personas de la comitiva. Muchas gracias.
Okay, and let me just confirm with our OC, Office of Consumer Services people, that I'm correct, and they agree that we have nobody else that's indicated they want to provide a comment.
Your Honor, is nobody here has been mentioned that want to make a comment?
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so I would like to remind everyone that they may submit public comments throughout these proceedings by the other means that we described earlier and that are provided in the Notice of Public Statement hearing that was issued on August 18th, 2023. We will be holding additional public statement hearings virtually on September 20th, 2023 at 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. In addition, we will be holding in-person public statement hearings in the future, and a notice with the locations, dates, and times will be issued when those are set and scheduled. Judge Moreno and I would like to thank the commenters for their participation. We would also like to thank our Consumer Services Office for administering the session, our court reporter, and our interpreters. And with that, our hearing is now concluded, and we are going off the record.
We are off the record, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Everyone, have a good evening, I hope.
Thank you for having us.